This weekend, the URC brings us another big Irish derby and more jostling for position. My name is Mark. Let's talk rugby. Another interesting weekend of URC fixtures. As I said, we got a big Irish derby, right at the top of the table as well. Decent clash there. And we just have a clump of teams, from 4th down to 9th, all on 10 match points. So, some of those teams are playing each other. So we're going to see a little bit of separation, and maybe we're going to start to see the formation of kind of a leading pack. And then we've already seen kind of at the bottom as well, a pack of teams who are kind of struggling, and it's another week where, teams who started well want to keep their momentum going, and teams who haven't started that well are looking for that just kickstart to get their season going so that they're not going to be stuck there at the bottom struggling for the rest of the campaign. So let's have a look at the first round of the first game, on Friday. So Friday we actually have 3 games, which is, I was thinking it's a little bit excessive really for Friday, because I suppose, especially seeing as we only have one Sunday game as well this week, but we'll go through the games. So first game is Zebre Palmer versus Hollywood Bet Sharks, or Zebre versus the Sharks, as I'll refer to them from now on. This is 13th versus 16th. This is 2 of the 4 teams who have yet to win this season going head to head. Zebre have come a lot closer than the Sharks so far in their 3 games. Like the opening round, they ran Ulster really close. They also they've gotten a try bonus point in every single one of their games this season as well, including it was a pretty heavy defeat against the Stormers last weekend, but still they scored enough tries to get the bonus point, to try bonus point as well. So they're actually on 5 match points, whereas the Sharks haven't scored a single match point at all, and sitting right there at rock bottom of the table. They've struggled to score as well. 21 points is the most they scored in the game. That was against Munster, in the opening round. Since then, I think they scored 13 and then 5 points. So things are going the wrong way for them there. So they need to get that attack going. Like last season, their attack looked so sharp, especially towards the end of the season, where they put that push in for the playoff spots as well. But right now, it's not looking sharp at all. They need to fix it out. They need to get their teeth back, right? But yeah, Zebre are probably looking at this thinking we've gone close already. Once at home and once away. This is a big chance now to actually get a win on the board for us. And it'll be like, they didn't win the entirety of last season, but Zebres, they've improved their squad. Did some decent acquisitions towards the end of last season, and it looks like it's only a matter of time before that win comes. But is that matter of time going to be a whole other season again for them? Hopefully not. But the Sharks as well. Sharks have got to start winning, because, as I said, they put that late push in last season, but you can't leave it too late. If you're going down there struggling, you could be stuck down there for the entire season. So this one, I think, I don't know. It's hard to say. I'm always tempted to say it's going to be a draw, because of the way both teams are going to start the season. But I think I'm going to say the Sharks are just going to nick this one. But I absolutely would not be surprised if Zebre do get that win that I think their play has deserved for a long time now. Okay, on to the next Friday one. So that was kind of an early one. It's at 5:30 on Friday, the Zebre Sharks one. I suppose part of it is because, it's in Italy, so for them it's much later in the evening kickoff time. But then we're into 7:35 kickoff for the next 2 games on Friday. So the first is Ulster versus Munster. So Ulster, they had the top of table clash last week against Connacht, where they lost that one. They were winning 20 points to 3 and ended up losing 22-20. So really, didn't bring that one home at all. Now they're back up in the Kingspan. This is 7th versus 2nd. Munster, last year's champions. They're so far unbeaten. Only one of three teams left unbeaten this season. Ulster will obviously want to take that away from them. I think Ulster as well with this, they'll want to perform well in this game, because there's probably a feeling around Ulster that, Munster kind of almost stole their thunder in that, Ulster have been the team that have been kind of waiting in the wings, waiting for Leinster to kind of fall off their perch a little bit, and then they were going to swoop in and start winning trophies. I think that was the kind of, not necessarily the plan, but kind of the dream there, I think, for them. Because Ulster, they've been the nearly men for so long, and they've shown they can be consistently so good. But Munster just came, they improved all through last season and came up past them and got that trophy themselves. So Ulster probably feel like they have something to prove, but last week they said they felt like they had something to prove as well. They started well but couldn't finish it. Can they do it this week? I'm not too sure about that, honestly. Munster, as I said, they got those 2 wins. They had that draw against Benetton as well. Benetton game, they didn't look that great. That was on the road as well. So their 2 wins have come at home so far this season. So even though it's, on the island, they still have to travel up to Belfast for this one. Is that going to be a deciding factor in Ulster's favour? I'm not too sure, honestly. I think Munster, they've got a lot of players now coming through as well, like talented players like Gleeson and Quinn as well, like in the back row alone. And I think having them in the squad is probably going to help them. Hopefully Nash is back. I'm not too sure. I didn't see any news on him yet for the team, but I think with that, Ulster at home definitely going to fancy themselves, but I think Munster might just nick this one. But Ulster, if they do get the win, they're back up right there at the top again. The other Friday game then is Cardiff, who sit in 11th, versus the Bulls in 3rd. So Cardiff they've only got the 1 win so far this season. Bulls, they got 2 wins under the belt. But, the game they lost, they kind of lost it well too. But, I'd say like going to Wales for the likes of the Bulls and the Stormers, they mostly fancy themselves. Doesn't mean they're going to win all of the games. I have a feeling that a lot of especially the Bulls and the Stormers, feel like they can actually pull off a win when they go to any of the Welsh regions. Now, I'm hoping that we see improvements from the Welsh regions this year. We saw improvement from the national team, but that doesn't always mean that the URC teams are actually going to perform, and they haven't performed for a long time. It's about time that we had a Welsh team get up there and really push, for knockouts and trophies and stuff like that. So, but are Cardiff going to be to do that? On the evidence we've seen so far this season, I'd probably say no, but you would have looked at Munster this time last season and thought Munster need another season to be ready to really push and be in the mix. But improvements can happen so quickly, and confidence is just such a big factor as well. But with this one, I think I'm going to go for the Bulls to win that one. On to the Saturday games then. The early game, 3 o'clock kickoff, Benetton versus the Stormers. So Benetton are one of those 3 teams that have yet to lose. They've got 2 wins and a draw. Stormers up in 4th place. The Stormers only have 2 wins themselves, but they've actually got same amount of match points. They got a better points difference. So both these teams on 10 points. Stormers are up in 4th, and the Benetton are down in 9th. Benetton are the end of that kind of string of teams. So it's basically the head of the snake and the end of the snake playing each other here. Benetton, we've seen that they have really improved season on season in terms of competitiveness, not only in the URC, but also in European competitions as well. The Stormers would be a huge scalp for them to take. Last year's finalists, year before champions as well. So if Benetton could pull that off, they would be absolutely delighted, and it would show that they have taken steps, in terms of their progress. But I think the Stormers are probably going to nick this one and stay, up there in that kind of leading pack. Next then, at 5:15, we have Ospreys in 8th versus Glasgow in 5th. So Ospreys, they've got 2 wins this season. Glasgow also with 2 wins from the season. Glasgow on 10 match points. The Ospreys on 10 match points as well. So, again, kind of in that train of teams all on 10 match points, trying to, one of these teams is going to kick on from here, and the other team, are going to kind of fall back into the clutches, really, of the teams below them. So, who's that going to be? It's kind of hard to say, but I think the Warriors have shown in the last 2 seasons that they have that ability to win at home and on the road as well, and that's kind of in the URC. Being able to do that is where you get up and consistently up to that kind of top 6 or so teams, and Glasgow have been there for a while, and I think that's going to help them in this one, and I think that they're going to get the win there, but Ospreys are definitely going to push them. Next then we have Scarlets versus the Lions. So, Scarlets, they got 1 win so far this season. Lions haven't won anything, but there's actually only 1 match point between them, because Scarlets have 5, the Lions have 4. So Lions have been, they've been close in their defeats. They were close against the Stormers. And yeah, they've looked decent. They just need to, they need to be able to put defense and attack together. At the moment, their defense looks a little bit porous, but they are showing that they do have, that attack, that they can score points. But Scarlets, their defense has been terrible so far. They had that win, but they shipped two heavy defeats against South African teams as well, but they were in South Africa, and it was the Bulls and the Stormers as well. But still, they're at home here, probably thinking, okay, hopefully gonna get a win out of this one. But for the Scarlets, it's another South African team. It's like 3 South African teams of 4. The one team they've beaten is Cardiff, so they're hoping to get the first win against the South African team of the season here. Home advantage may just nick it for them, but the Lions, again, I said last year, they come up to Europe and they did well, so they know they can perform on the European tours, and they'll fancy themselves in this one. I'm not sure what I think on this one and who's going to win, but I'm going to go for the Lions to just about nick it. Next then, the evening game on Saturday is 7:35 kickoff. It's Edinburgh versus Connacht at the Hive Stadium. So Connacht, sitting top of the league. They're the 3rd team who have yet to be beaten this season. Edinburgh, they're doing pretty well. They're down in 10th place. They have they've got 2 wins and that 1 defeat as well against Leinster. That was last week, right? But they started out the gate with 2 wins at least. But now it's a case of they don't want to now go on a run of defeats or not being able to get a run of victories going themselves. So I think this is an important one in terms of their start to the season, because again, they're one of those teams that could easily fall away from that pack that's there, that's kind of jostling. Connacht, Connacht fans I think will back me up on this, is that when things are going smoothly for Connacht is when you have to worry most, because they seem to love to do things the hard way. And you'd look at this one and think, okay, they beat Ulster last week. They've had some, really, really good performances and good wins so far against an Edinburgh team that shipped a defeat last week. they should really fancy themselves to go there and pick up a decent win, but probably won't. But I'm going to back them in this one. I think that they will continue that on. I've seen Connacht growing, over the last kind of season or so. I know it's kind of quasi new, management structure in there with Andy Friend leaving. But the rest of the guys were there under Andy Friend anyway. They just kind of stepped up into, more responsibility, as it were. So I think, Connacht probably gonna win this one. But Edinburgh, they've shown that they have that ability just to make games difficult, really, for their opposition, and that's what they're going to want to do in this one. One thing, though, they probably will have to do, I think, against this Connacht side, is they're going to have to score more points than they have been doing, because they're open, even though they had those couple of wins, like it was 22 points and I think it was 17 points in round 2 that they scored. I think probably to beat this Connacht side, they're going to look more at high 20s, maybe even the early 30s to get the win. But they'll feel that it's certainly within their grasp, and we've seen some decent performances from the players. It's just that the attack really needs to click, I think, against Connacht, because Connacht, we've seen them where they have that ability to score and bursts that I think is very valuable for teams. And if they do that in this one and Edinburgh aren't hitting those heights with their attack, Connacht certainly could take this one. On to the final game of the weekend then. It's the Dragons versus Leinster. So this is 15th versus 6th. Dragons, one of those 4 teams that have yet to win this season. Leinster, they dropped that early defeat to Glasgow, but they've been improving since then. They've had 2 wins in a row. They're definitely going to want to make it 3 against the Dragons. And most seasons when you look at Dragons at home to Leinster, you think Leinster are going to win, even if Leinster, not necessarily sending their top players along. You think that squad has enough to pull off a win there. And Dragons, honestly, they had that bounce, under Di Flanagan last season, but that's a distant memory. Towards the end of the season, they were poor. Start this season as well. They've had some close games, though. It feels like there's a lack of confidence really in the squad, and they need to get that first win to kind of kick them off and get some belief back in them that they can close out tight games. That they can get their attack working as well and score points. But Leinster coming to town is not really what you want to see when you're looking for confidence. So I think Leinster are going to win that one. Okay, so that is the end of that one. I will do some reviews over the weekend. I'm definitely going to be doing Ulster versus Munster on Saturday then. It's a case of which games I get to see. I'm hoping to see at least 2 of the games, and whichever games I watch, I will review. And then on Sunday, it's an early kickoff, but I actually have the day off work, so it means I can review that one as well. So I'm aiming for 4 games this weekend. I'm aiming for, it's not guaranteed, it might only be 2, but wherever I review, look out for it up on the channel. And then, as usual, on Monday, we'll review the entire weekend anyway, and go through each of the games. And then midweek, probably next week, we're going to have our first set of stats as well for this season. I'm not sure what format the stats are going to be in just yet. I want to kind of have a look at maybe something where I can focus on a particular area in a week, but also give you a broad kind of array of stats that cover multiple things. But I know I can't deep dive into everything, which I would love to do, because when I deep dive into stats, you're talking about hours rather than minutes in terms of the lengths of the videos. So yeah, I'm going to have to think about what format I want to do on that. If there are any particular stats that you'd like to see in terms of the URC, let me know. I have to say the URC stats, they can be difficult to kind of get some of them, especially for players and stuff, because they have this stupid, whatever they call it, top 100 or whatever, like top trumps or whatever crap they have, that gives players scores but doesn't really, all I want to see is the player stats. It is available. I have to go dig for it, and then I have to collate it all together for the players. So I'll see what I can do with that. So if I can get something in that, we will have some player stats as well, because I like to kind of pick out the players who are performing well, and not necessarily the ones who are getting all the headlines as well. But yeah, that's the end of this one. Look out for those other ones coming over the weekend and into next week as well.